Estate Dojo, and as my title says, if your marketing says we buy houses, you might as well replace it with, hey, I can wipe my own ass. No, I'm not joking, guys. I'm being dead serious, because you're spending money on marketing and you're not going to get the results for it as much as you can. You're probably going to getting this kind of result for it instead of getting this kind of result where your imagination can produce you if you use your imagination. Now, you go to these REI clubs, you go to the real estate investment seminars, or you might buy a course, and they say, hey, send out these yellow cards. And I don't disagree. The yellow cards do work, okay? But Sally's used them, Julie's used them, Mary's used them, Jose's used them, and all these people used them all over America, okay? So by now, they're like, the result they get is like this. But what I'm going to show you is the secret where you can use your imagination and get results like this, okay? Because the generic stuff doesn't work. Now, it doesn't matter if you're using it on a postcard, if you're using on a bandit sign, you're using it on a mail out, you know, it's the same exact thing, because in that yellow letter, it says the same exact thing that everybody else says, which says, hey, we buy houses, we can't close very fast, etc., etc. Now, let me give you an example. You're driving to work every day, okay? Or you're driving to wherever you go every day, and you take the same exact path. And in one sense, you're almost like an autopilot. You're not even paying attention anymore. Your brain, your subconscious, is taking control of it. So you're just driving around, boom, 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 and you're not even paying attention, you're jamming out, and then boom, you see a clown right on the side of the street. He has big old hair and big old nose and big old clothes and all colorful. So that gets your attention, right? Even though you're driving fast. Now, imagine this. Again, you're driving again. You're in autopilot because you drive the same exact road every day. But now, there's a bunch of clowns out there every day. Every day that you drive, there's a clown out there. Do you think you're going to really notice that clown? No, dude. Did you notice that cricket that you drove by yesterday? No, you didn't. Did you notice that bird? No, you didn't. Did you notice that guy? No, you didn't. So there's so many things you didn't notice because they faded with the pattern, dude. Just like the grass, you know. I mean, if I had dropped something that was green in this grass, no one would notice. Now, the analogy of you driving in a car is very good because two reasons. Number one, your customer is like driving in a car. They're going fast. So you only have a few seconds to catch their attention. And if you don't do it, guess what? It doesn't matter what kind of techniques you know. How do you give an offer, if you give a superhero closing, or if you know how to fill out none of that stuff crap matters, dude. Because if you can't do the lead generation, which is the propeller number one in real estate investing, then you're not going to have any success, guys. So, again, you're driving, or your customer is driving, they're driving fast. So to get their attention, it has to be quick. Two, you got to think about the customer. They're seeing so many stimulus every day. The guy's changing lanes, there's traffic lights here, there's all kinds of stuff, all kinds of stuff, right? So if your message in your postcards or in your text messaging or in your bandit signs has the same exact message as everybody else. Hey, I buy houses. Hey, I buy houses. Hey, I close very quickly. Hey, I do, just like me. Then you're not going to get noticed, guys, okay? Because the person's in the car driving, they're going fast, every day they're getting smashed with advertisement. They're getting text messages, they're getting emails, they're listening to radio, TV, bulletin boards, Facebook timelines, Instagram. So there's so many different messages marketing out there. So the only way to get their attention is to do something that's like a clown to get their attention before you could go in there and provide value, so therefore you could build your authority, or you're able to build, credibility and whatever skills that you're trying to portray to your seller or your buyer that you have, okay? When I say be a clown, I'm not saying you got to be an idiot. What I'm saying is you gotta be able to get that person's attention, just like on a boring drive that you drive every day that you never notice anything, but this day you notice that clown. Okay? So it has to be like that. Now, a few minutes ago I posted the same exact idea on Facebook, and one of my friends said, well dude, I use the keyword "we buy houses" in our pay-per-click ad on Google. And I said, you know what? You're 100% right. I'm not saying don't use the keyword for SEO or pay-per-click. That's a totally different thing, okay? Than your marketing materials that you're gonna give to your buyer, to your seller. If it's like a postcard, if it's a letter, if it's a phone broadcast, whatever it is. Now, the other point is, what she said was, totally right, but totally wrong, because what she just said is what hanged herself, which she said that, no, "we buy houses" is a good key word. And I agree with her because it's so generic. That's why it's a key word, right? It's kind of like so generic. Like, I'm in the moving business. I used to be in the moving business, and Dallas Movers, very generic, okay? So, yes, if you come up for Dallas Movers, you'll make millions of dollars per year, per month. It's very powerful, guys. And most of you guys and ladies don't know that I'm a marketing king, dude. Back in, before Google was Google and Yahoo was king. Again, Yahoo was king. I was doing search engine optimization and link building and all kinds of crazy stuff to be able to get internet lead generation before there was a word for SEO, before Harvard taught SEO, before the average person knew about SEO. It was what's called underground. And like some of my stuff that I'm revealing to you guys right now, like my massive PLMA conversion filtering system, where instead of just taking what the guru said at the REI Club, which is like said, hey, just send them some yellow letters and then buy the list, and that's it, dude. You're gonna get customers, and you just put in there some generic shit like Jose, Bob, and a million other Americans that want to be investors. You put that in there and it's gonna work out. And give me your 500. The truth of the fact is that doesn't work out. Only this much works out because they're all seeing the same exact information, guys. Okay? So with my system, I took what that guy said that, hey, 1, buy a list. That was good. 2, send them letters. Generic. No, that wasn't that good. So what I did is I took my creativity, I kept tweaking it because I kept sending like 10,000 letters, 20,000 letters. Got a very small amount of opening rate, like I said, 2 to 5%. I didn't want that, man, because it costs so much money. And since I'm not a wholesaler, I'm a buy and hold guy, I didn't want to go through all that. So what I try to do is close my eyes, use my imagination, and try to get the cream of the crop, the ones that fly up like this, and only target those. And I was able to cherry pick the best deals that I want, the ones that have the least amount of headaches, the least amount of rehab, the most amount of equity, the most amount of cash flow. And the reason I was able to do that is because instead of spending so much money and blanketing the area and then praying to God, please somebody call me back, because what happens is when you blanket an area, you're hitting people that are in the market of selling their homes. You're hitting people that don't even need your services. So you're spending all this money, like your tires spinning without gripping. And what I teach you is, instead of doing these generic ads, or instead of just mailing out to the generic list, you got to use more creative ideas like my massive PLMA filtering system, which takes the list, okay? And right now I have a special where I'll give you my my postcard marketing machine, the ultimate postcard marketing machine, and my PLMA filtering system. And what that does is it takes your list, okay, and it shows you filtering systems where you could reach out to these lists without spending thousands of dollars in mail or letters or whatever, and get the cream of the crop to call you, and then you put them into a mailing system, or then you put them into a filtering system, and then you put them into a follow-up system. And that's way you could send out 100 or less postcards and close a lot more fucking deals and spend this much money and make this much profits, or whatever you could imagine, okay? And with that, I also have my postcard, what I call my postcard library. I lost count of it, but I think it's about 66 or 70 something, or take my word for it, but it's a lot of different postcard. And what it did is it segmented each of the pools of motivated sellers that I have stumbled on, that I personally use, that makes good amount of money. And the best thing is there's not competition out there like going to the auction. To me, it never makes sense. Why would I want to go to auction? Everybody's sitting right there. Everybody's like, oh, 100, 150. It doesn't make any sense. It's better for me to find a motivated seller. You know, I go to their home. There's no one around besides me and this guy. There's no competition. I'm talking to them. I'm helping them out. Okay, I create a win-win situation. He might let me take over his loan payment. He might willing to do some type of owner financing. He might be able to do some kind of note. Okay, where now I got to inspect the house. The guy told me all the secrets of the house. When he replaced the AC, what problems he had. Has he ever filed for insurance? All this stuff. Where the guy that goes to the auction with the masses of other fucking dicks out there, they all got their dicks out like a titty bar, dude. It's like, who wants to deal with that shit? Like, so it's really stupid, I think. And I think that people with, you know, that are lazy, that don't want to create systems, and that don't want to, you know, get the maximum amount of money, will use those auction systems. There's nothing wrong with it. You can make a lot of money. I'm not dissing on it. But I think there's a better way, a clever way, a more ingenious way, the Mr. Investor way, where, you know, you don't just send out letters to the masses and say, please give me a deal, please. You use systematic, old school with new school, and then you learn to filter. I mean, the most important thing is to learn to filter and find the best cream of the crop and do the deal. It doesn't matter if you're a wholesaler, if you're, you know, fix and flipper, if you're a landlord, because the cream is the best deal, because 20% of your customers will give you 80% of your money, and definitely work on those 20%. And if not, only work on the 80%. Don't work on the 20% that doesn't give you deals, or if they do give you deals, it's a bunch of headaches because the wife said no, or there's a bunch of kids, and you know, and they're all fighting, and it's just, you know those deals, dude, that you can make money and you're making this much money, but you have to jump through so many hoops, and God, please, and please. Why deal with that kind of crap? You know, if you have all these motivated sellers hitting you up, then you could cherry pick which ones you want to pick with, the nicest ones, the ones that you can relate with. And if you're like a, you know, person that needs to do a lot of deals, then you can just take them all. But now you know the easy one, the cream, and then you know the middle ones, and then you know the ones in the end are going to give you the most amount of headache with the least amount of money, guys. Okay? So in the story, guys, if you're doing the same postcards as every other American that's an investor, you're probably not going to get a lot of deals. If you're doing the same exact bandit signs of every other American investor, you're probably not going to get a lot of deals, dude. Like, you know, you see them, we buy houses, or I buy houses, you know what I mean? Everybody's doing it, dude. Okay? So you have the answer already inside you. Okay? Just close your eyes and figure it out. It's already there. If you can't figure it out, I already have system. For example, my postcard library, dude, it has 60-something postcards that build authority through follow-up, okay? Not just like me, just sell me, like everybody else does, okay? Or my auto responder series that not only does the follow-up, but does the sales, but does the closing for you, once again, by providing authority through time, okay? That just goes back for a year, 2 year, 3 year, depends on how you want to configure it if you listen to that audio, guys, okay? Or my online classified ads that I'm just selling it for a few bucks, guys. If you go hire a professional copywriter and you want to get that many ads, you're gonna spend like $300 to $500 easily. I'm giving you guys $50, okay? And so, what am I saying? If you do what everybody else does, you will get success, but it's gonna be this much. But if you want to get massive amount of success, you can't follow the herd, dude. You gotta take what the herd does and modify it, or better yet, come up with your own ways of doing it. And if you can't figure it out, holler at me, because I'm your guerrilla marketing. I am the alchemist of real estate investing and entrepreneurship. I'm one of the few people that can come to America, doesn't speak the language, don't know left from right, is a refugee, you know, doesn't have any connections. Both of my parents are illiterate, don't have high school education. They can't read in this country or my country, right? And then go and start a business, have it for 14 years, from there branch off to 2 other businesses, have 3 businesses, buy houses with no money, using other people's money, without ever borrowing money, dude. Okay? So I didn't do that because I did what everybody else did. I try to be that clown on the side of the street and get your attention and then try to sell you something when I was in high school. Okay? And then as I evolved, I learned that I don't really need to sell people stuff if I add value, and people are gonna come to me. And that's why I teach you at the dojo the superhero closing, dude. That's why I teach you my negotiation, like my deadbeat closing, or my emotional closing, or my logical closing. Because after doing sales since high school, guys, I learned a couple of things in sales. I don't like sales. I don't like selling anybody anything anymore. But I've learned a way to teach you to get your customers to call you, because you're the authority and you build trust and credibility with them, guys. All right, guys. If you have any questions, let me know right now. I'll be happy to answer them. Any questions? All right, guys. Go out there and hustle and bustle. Don't take no for an answer. See ya.